Welcome back, everybody, to Making Sense Conversation. Today, we're talking about the power of 5,000, what a little can do. But so that you know what Making Sense is all about, Making Sense is about, and riding on the back of the Centonomy mission, creating a community of financially empowered people, because we do have to be financially empowered so that we can create wealth and live abundantly. And we draw on the back of principles in the book called Making Sense, conversations from different people, conversations from experts, and you know what, just genuinely our own stories. So today, as I said, we're talking about what a little can do. And if you do have the Making Sense book, and if you don't, please get it. There's an article on page 74 called The Power of 5,000 Shillings, and an article on page 62 called A Coffee Cup Away from Riches. Because today we want to bust that myth that says if you don't have a lot, you can't do much. So I have found that people underestimate the power of a little. And I'm going to, in a short while, going to tell you what you can do with a little. So you may be thinking that you don't have money. So I'm going to show you today where that money actually is and where it shows up. In the book, I talk about the mindset we have when it comes to a little money. We believe because I don't have a lot, I can't save, I can't invest, I can't enjoy life. And we are here, Sheba and I are also here as living testimonies that a little can do a lot. You may have money and you may be comfortable. So some of you have found, maybe I don't have a job, especially going now, what do I do? So we're going to show you where does that really come from. But you could also be comfortable, and every day as you're doing your daily things, continuing to underestimate the value of the small habits, the small things that add up. So Sheba, let me kick off with you.
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey with a little. What has a little meant to you? What has it done?
Great. First of all, thanks, Sheke. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Sheba Njage, and I am Head of Training and Communications at Centonomy. And I am also an entrepreneur. I founded an events and marketing business since 2013. And it's been very, very interesting. And I am a big believer. I first did Centonomy in 2013. Yes, in 2013. And one of the key things I remember being in the session was we were being asked about how much do you spend on food or on coffee. Yes. So I was really challenged because I'm a person who, not that I can't cook, Waceke, but I really enjoy eating out. I can cook very, very well, but it's not something that I enjoy so much unless I'm in the zone, if I could say that. And so one of the things we were being taught, or we were taught at that time, is just go and do your math and see where your money goes all the time, or even in a week. And then we had this spending schedule or spending tracker, and I know it's in the book as well. And I was just doing it, and I realized I spend so much on lunch. I love to eat, but I don't love cooking. And so one of the things I did, because we were encouraged to create our financial plan. And also that's one of the deliverables or outputs you will get when you're reading the book and you will be working on. And I was challenged, just start buying shares. And I'm wondering, I am here to be taught how to make more money. Where are you telling me for money to come from? And as soon as I started putting away 500 bob, and then I've been graduating to 1,000 bob a month, I have been able to build my shares portfolio with 500 shillings and 1,000 shillings a month. Now, and why I say for me, I'm a real testimony with that is I used to think, you see, shares, I used to think you needed like 10,000 shillings at one go. I have friends who are stockbrokers. I remember talking to one of them and telling them, I'd like to start investing with shares. What can I start with? And they're like, hey, you just try and look for like 10,000, 20,000 shillings. And I'm like, how do I start with that? So what I did is I started putting away 500 bob. Every time I would feel the urge of buying lunch, even if I know there is food at home, I would ask myself, do I really need this? And I'm not
Yes.
saying don't go and buy lunch, but they buy it. But I would challenge myself, do I really want to do this? I have this goal of creating my shares portfolio, buying some more Safaricom shares, buying some more bank shares. What can I do? So I opened an account, a fixed account. And for 6 months, I was putting away 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And then by that time now, I was ready to go to 6 months later, I was ready to go to a stockbroker and say, here is some money, help me to start buying shares. So that's a little money. For me, it was little money. It was money I was spending on something else anyway.
Yeah.
So that was my power of 500 bob and 1,000 shillings thus far, and it's still working.
Wow. Guys, I hope you've had 1,000 bob, 1,000 bob, 500 bob. Yeah. So for me, Sheba, when I look back, and I talk about a lot of these stories in the book, in the first chapter, I talk about how this book got into your hands. And a lot of that is about my personal aha moments. So guys, I did not have aha moments because somebody gave me 1,000,000 shillings or even 100,000 shillings. And a lot of times we think those are the figures we want to hear, so that we can figure out what to do with it. So my aha moments with a little, first of all, it started with debt. When I was in university, I racked up a lot of debt. Debt is a topic for another day, but it was nothing I own today. So it's shoes, going out, lifestyle sort of debt. And I know a lot of you can relate to that. And I one day had to face my debt and pay it back. I didn't have a lot of money to pay it back. So I started off with 3,000 shillings per month. And then as I earned more in my job, I went to 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. And I was out of that debt in 2 years. So many people also think for me to pay off my debt, I need someone to come and give me the 200 Gs that will pay off my debt immediately. In the meantime, they're underestimating what can the 5,000 shillings do. When I went into business, especially, I guess when things are comfortable, and I think we're now in a phase where things have become uncomfortable. That's why we're having some of these conversations. I would easily go out on a Friday night, buy a glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, spend 2,000 bob, 1,000 bob. Then when I started business where the salary left my desk, all of a sudden you don't have a salary. When people would call me, I'd realize I go spend 1,000 shillings or 2,000 shillings going out. I now understood that 2,000 shillings was fruits and vegetables in my household for a couple of weeks. So I could now see little in terms of fruits and vegetables. One of my biggest aha moments has been going to even realizing when you don't have money and can't access it, that's when you actually realize how important it is. Going to the ATM and finding only 200 shillings and then realizing I cannot withdraw it and there was no mobile money at that time because there was a minimum ATM withdrawal of 500. Now, when you face situations where you have the 200 but not the 500, yet you've already calculated in your head, if I had access to the 200, I could buy milk, I could buy bread, and the pain I felt by not accessing the 200, it made me stop thinking of 200 bob as a little money, because when you don't have it, 200 bob suddenly becomes everything you need today. And ask people who earn money day by day, casual workers, what 200 bob, what 300 bob means to them. That's how their family lives on a day-to-day basis. When I started in business, I've learned the power of 5,000 bob in so many ways. When I started individual financial consultancy, that's the money a client paid you, and if they paid you in cash, that is what gave you fuel to go home. So I knew the importance of 500 bob. I learned as we started the courses, I learned 5,000 bob is what I need to photocopy materials for the people who are actually coming to class. I learned that along the way, 5,000 bob is what I need to do just to do for 1 week a social media campaign on certain things. It's that 5,000 shillings that I actually need to have. When we started the Centonomy classes, where we were running the training, it was 5,000 bob per room hire per day. So all of a sudden, that 5,000 shillings that I was wasting had a new meaning in my life. And that's why in the book, there's a whole section on the power of 5,000 shillings. It was a course. There's a course I had to do, and it was 5,000 shillings per month for 3 months. So a lot of times when you break down things like that, you can actually see how you can actually do it. Lunch money for me, like you, Sheba, I still like going for lunch, but it was an aha moment to understand that lunch money is a holiday. And this is how it works out. 300 shillings is what I used to spend on lunch when I was just earning money, not aware about where my money goes. And to be quite honest, not really feeling the pinch. Then when that salary was not there, I did the calculations. 300 times 30 is 9,000 shillings. 9,000 shillings in a month can do so much. Electricity, food, fuel, you name it. Then 9,000 times 12 is 108,000 shillings. And for the last 10 years, yes, I do once in a while treat myself, go out with my friends, have lunch. But the daily lunch, carrying daily lunch or buying daily lunch, for me, I have not done that for years. And I think when I calculate, I probably saved hundreds of thousands of shillings on that. Plus, I have gone on holiday because of lunch money. So let's take this a notch higher.
Yeah. I just want to share.
Yeah.
I just want to share about how you've said the trip and also the food.
Yes.
When I turned 30,
yes.
That was, I've even forgotten. This COVID season is causing you to even forget which year we are. And so my birthday is usually always in November. And I remember telling my friends and telling my friends, you know what? I have always wanted to go to Cape Town, seeing Table Mountains. And I told them I am going next year. Next year on my birthday, I have to go. And then I go on a whole spree of starting to shop online to see, so how much are tickets, how much would I need for Airbnb, how much would experiences be. And when I saw that budget, I realized I need about between 70 to 100,000 shillings. Like worst case scenario, I need like 70,000. I needed like about 100,000. And I started asking myself, I have more responsibilities right now, trying to save, trying to do all these things. Where will money come from? And I just did, the way you're just saying, see how much everything is going to be, divide by the number of months. And I was asking myself, I realized I just needed to start saving 5,800, I remember, and 33. Okay, every single month. And I started asking myself, where would 5,833 come from? And when I just started budgeting, I started realizing, you know what, it's actually possible. Because when I look at where money is going, like things like, you see this giga, and I'm not, the bundles.
No, it's okay. We got you, don't worry.
You got me. I realized I am overspending on bundles. I am overspending on food, on burgers, which I love. I was overspending on some things and realized it's possible to actually start getting 5,800 every month. And I started, and Sheke, if you remember last year, I sent you an email saying I will be away for a whole 11 days. And when I was...
And we just saw you on Instagram. We didn't even
just saw me on Instagram. And it was because of what 5,800 shillings did for me. And honestly, when I got a chance, and sometimes some money comes in from different places, maybe my mom has decided to throw me like a 2 cheese or 1.5, I would still put it in a unit trust because I knew I needed it. And one last thing, let me share with you what 710 is doing for me right now. Last year I was going through something and I realized, if I die right now, what will my people say? What will they get? And I know it's a very morbid conversation. And life covers, I know how they are. It's purely based on, if you die, your beneficiary gets a certain amount. And I remember just sitting down with my insurance company and telling them, I want, when I die, at this point, I want my nephew, because I don't have a child, I want my nephew to be able to get this amount of shillings. Whatever they choose to do with it, it's up to them, but they can say, Auntie Sheba shared this with me. And do you know, Waceke, as we were doing the numbers, guess how much I contribute every month?
How much?
710 bob.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
so
in case...
a little can be a legacy.
That is going to be my legacy right now. In case anything happens to me. And I'm learning that it's not about how much the money is, it's what you cause that small or big amount of money to do.
Oh, wow. Let me just respond to some of the comments. Shiro, welcome. joining us from Australia. We have asked for us guys, financial empowerment of the world, of the region. I know we also have people from Rwanda, welcome, from Uganda, welcome. So good to have you. And in fact, please keep writing and telling us where you're from so we also understand. Mary, who said she has done Centonomy 101, we'll be telling you more about Centonomy 101 later, twice, yeah?
Twice.
And she joined when she was in campus, so you don't have to wait, yeah? She does no longer find saving hard. She has bought shares, something she thought she would never do, and I'm going through that now, and has started a business. So you can see where power of a little, haba na haba is what we're talking about today. Yeah. Laura, thank you very much. Said been longing for a topic that addresses mkulima mdogo. Let me tell you, all of us are wakulima wadogos. We may not be doing the same thing. Not all of us are doing farming, but if you listen to people's stories, you know, the thing good, sometimes when we highlight people's stories, we only talk about the end. When you listen to people's stories properly, like mine, Centonomy started because of that 300 bob calculation. So this is not a company that has been made because somebody put millions in it. The realization of 300 bob. That same 300 bob times a year is what I used to register the company, and pay that 30K to register the business, So Laura, you're in good hands today. Welcome. So guys, let me just take you on this aspect, just what Sheba has taken us through with the 700 bob. Let me just break it down to you in your daily lives. What does that actually mean? So you will see a slide on now.
We can.
Okay. So give me a minute. It's just about to move as we just share it again. So apologies for that.
I like how Laura is saying addresses mkulima mdogo.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think with debt, a lot of people are in debt and they misunderstand how that it takes a lot to get out of debt. I think that's a major mind shift that has been there of people thinking I need a lot of money to get out of debt. In our classes, don't we do that calculation, Sheba, of it's not about a lot of money, it's the little that you have.
And what it's really what we usually also call time value of money. Like you don't realize until you just start seeing how it's growing. And I love this example because it's one of the examples that have changed my life.
So guys, the article in the book, page 62, I want to kick you off first with let's move away from the 5,000, because even 5,000, sometimes you don't know how the 5,000 builds up. So let me take you step by step about this thinking. I'm going to use, mine was lunch money, but I'm going to use something that may be common, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, chai and mandazi, wherever you are. It may cost you something like 200 shillings, 200 shillings even per day, because what we want to empower you with is to be aware of your choices and what is the alternative use of your choices. So 200 shillings a day can buy bread, it can buy milk, it is transport, but we also understand that life is not just about essentials, it's bundles. Sheba, you were talking 2 GB, it's bundles. It's the bundles that you can use for online streaming, to watch your favorite movie, to catch up with friends. Now we're
log into this session.
To log into this session. Now, since we're social distancing, it's what people are using to have Google Hangout parties with their families and loved ones. Just 200 bob. So all it took for you was that cup of coffee. If you drink coffee every week, and remember, this can be lunch, it can be smoking, it can be all those daily habits that we have. It's 1,400. I learned it's fruits and vegetables for the week. Just a cup of coffee. So sometimes at the week, you're like, how do I, because when I didn't have money, I was like fruits and vegetables. Then you realize 200 shillings per week adds up to the fruits and vegetables. At the end of it, you could also decide, instead of that cup of coffee for myself every day, a lot of restaurants now have these treats or family packs that you can buy, whether it's chicken and chips in a family pack. There's so many pizzas. 1,400 is your Sunday afternoon treat for your family. Yeah. Monthly it gets whatever, it's electricity, it's fuel. I'm gonna take it's loan repayments that I'm gonna take you through shortly. But it's also, hey, I want to do my hair. Imagine,
go to the spa. Imagine.
I want to go. Once we are maybe released out of this, we will be like, okay, I didn't have my coffee every month, but imagine now I can go and just
chill at that terrace.
Yeah, and chill at the terrace completely. Yeah. After 6 months, that daily cup of coffee is 36,000 shillings. Sheba, isn't
wow.
Isn't
wow. That's simple math.
Simple. So you may be nanganaing now with your landlord saying, I can't pay. But your 200 bob every day is drinking more than a month's rent. Yeah. So it's rent, guys. Cup of coffee is rent. It can clear your credit card. I told you about me. I learned small money clears your credit card. It's that insurance. Sheba, and at the end of the year, aren't we all nanganang? Where do I find insurance money for my car?
For the car, for your medical. There's some of us that are also taking care of our own private medical health. It's even school fees,
Yes. After 6, it's take a course. I told you I was paying 5,000. There are a lot of courses people want to do and they keep saying it's expensive. But the reason why courses look expensive is you're looking at the money you have today in your bank account today. But when you want to invest in a program, you've got to look at what is the choice that I need to stop so that I can do. And many times it's a cup of coffee. So you can take a program. Sheba, tell people with 36,000 shillings, especially now in what we're doing for people in this season, what courses in Centonomy can
right now with 36,000 shillings, if you have been like Mary Wanzu, I'm even curious how she's done 101 twice. But if you are like Mary Wanzu with 36,000 shillings, we are now offering 101 20% discount for everybody between now and December. It's possible to do that. Like if you are in campus right now, those are like almost 3 people, who are able to do that course. It's so much, and we just need to start freeing ourselves from feeling like I don't have to looking at where is my money going. Sheke, there's someone saying, Basrai has joined us from Bristol in the UK.
Wow, welcome
Abdul Kadir.
Welcome.
Patricia is asking a quick question, and we will be talking about shortly. What's the minimum? And we can even talk about this 36,000 bob right now, Waceke.
Yeah.
You've been a stockbroker before. What's the minimum required to buy shares, and how do I go about it?
I am so glad you have asked. It's too much even,
Too much.
I have a calculation for people in the next slide, So let me, please allow me to leave the stock market conversation till then,
Sure.
But on this program, take a course. As Sheba has told you, can take Centonomy 101. And then even these 6,000 shillings installments, we can work with you.
Yeah.
Campus edition, I think this is for 3 people.
3 people,
It's a huge part for those who want to enter the entrepreneurship program, a huge part of the course.
Career people.
Career Hub, you can take it, Those who have been joining us in Nakuru, this pays for it. So it's time we start thinking about, and you've already heard from someone in the chat who said, hey, now because I did Centonomy 101, I'm good with this saving thing. I've started a business, I've bought shares, 1 year, the same amount of money. So even before I go to the investments, I wanted to show people what it does. 1 year, the same amount of money is 72,000 shillings. Guys, December, those kids, we forget we have kids. So January 1st in January, people are wondering where the school fees come from. It's that school fees. It is then also, as we said, this is not just about, it's also about doing the things that have value to you. And that in Centonomy, we always emphasize that. So it is a holiday. In the Making Sense, guys, and I'll show you some of the templates at the end. We have these templates, we have more stories that this can actually drill down. That was you. And then 10 people, Sheba will tell us a story later, 10 people who think like you, 720,000 shillings. Just calculate on that for a while,
And you've talked about something interesting even before we go there. just go back to that slide.
Yeah.
You mentioned the word January.
Yes.
Did you know, like, and this one has just come up in my head right now, so
Yeah.
let me just throw it in. Like, if we started right now and we decided we are saving up 200 bob a day
Yes.
going forward, it means 2021 in January, there's nothing like in January.
There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing. Even if you decided, for us, it's about in January. Yeah. Let us, as a group of like-minded people, the kind of people who are taking their time to join us on this platform today from all over the world. It takes it. That's it. Then January goes away. It resolves medical emergencies. So many things 200 bob a day does. What we've got to stop is seeing it as only 200 shillings.
Only
like
700
or only
1,000
or only 500. Then, because every day, as long as you have only 200 at the back of your mind, even the next day only, another only. So many onlys get you to a holiday. Many onlys.
Paris Monua, Waceke is just about to start sharing something very important about your question, where you're saying, I have been circulating around for 10 years now and I don't know where I go wrong. So she's about to share a plan with us. And Edda is saying she's watching live from Waceke, Nairobi. She's just finalizing Centonomy 101 this season. We hope the online classes have been good. And she says the initial classes enabled her to pay for the rest of the course. And she has discovered she has enough to invest, salary standing constant, remaining constant, and because of the power of tracking spending. Waceke, share with us this power of 5,000.
Okay, so let me go deeper. And thank you, Edda. Guys, you've heard Centonomy online. She's saved. She's already the rest 4 classes. She got money for the rest of the class. So let's remove the mind blocks that keep us between us and our destiny. True. So savings, let's just go with that 5,000 shillings, power of 5,000. Article is on page 72 of Making Sense. 5,000 per month is 60,000 shillings per year, which is 5,000 times 12. Hey, so first, that's 60,000 shillings you didn't have before. Now you end the year with 60,000. The comfort it gives you, holiday, school fees, insurance, and then this savings account or a SACCO will give you some interest. Some SACCOs last year earned about 8 to 10% interest, so that puts an extra 6,000 shillings in your pocket that you can go and fuel your car with. Okay, stock market. It takes now to and this will be a separate discussion, but I just want to emphasize the power of little. The minimum investment in the stock market is 100 shares. If you bought, and I'm just giving an example, with these 60,000 shillings, if you bought KCB shares January 2019 and sold them January 2020, the value of your 60,000 shillings would be worth 84,000 shillings.
Now.
Just before this COVID. Of course, the COVID period has affected whatever, And
it's still the best time to buy.
Still. And even at that time, it meant even if you were doing it monthly, you're accumulating about 150 shares of KCB every month. So that by the end of the year, you have that. And we will have Making Sense conversations with an expert in the stock market. So just look out for that, because I know this is a very hot topic, but I just want you to understand you don't need a lot of money to invest. So when you hear the word stock market, it doesn't mean a lot of money. Treasury bonds require 50,000 shillings, which is that still same 5,000 shillings per month. But now with Emakiba, we're talking about, Sheba, aren't we talking about 3K? Aren't we talking about
we're talking about, do you know what is fun about Emakiba? We are talking about 3,000 and then going later, if you still want to plug in and still add some more money, you still can. You whatever you have or whatever you can.
Whatever you have. I talked about if you are 10 of you and you are in an investment group, 720,000 shillings, that's now significant. Now we are talking. You can go into business without 720,000 shillings. Businesses are always wondering, how do I start? Where do I get the capital? You can go into agriculture with 720,000 shillings. You can go into land with 720,000 shillings. So all these things, the investments that we think are so expensive. Yeah. And as I said, we know investments is such a broad topic. We can't cover it today, but I just wanted today to plant in your mind that it doesn't take a lot. 60,000, that investment in the stock market, you could have gotten 84,000 shillings. Of course, with investments, remember, you have to take time to learn and consult the right professionals before investment. So today's presentation is not about investment advice, but just opening up our eyes as to what is happening behind the scenes when you do consistency.
That you have it.
That you actually have it. You're thinking retirement. Retirement is what you're thinking. It's such a thing. How can I retire? That 5K, power of 1,000, 5K, which is 100 and something, 70 shillings a day. 5,000 shillings a month after 10 years, earning 10% per annum, will just be slightly less than $1 million. I think the calculations show that 959. If you are wondering where 10% comes from, it's that Emakiba bond. Okay? Can you imagine? Yeah? It's that gives you walk away in your retirement and you have $1 million shillings. How comfortable do you get with that?
And you can say, you know how some people usually say, me, when I retire, one of the things I want to do is go on a cruise. You can say, this 5K in a month will be the one that's taking me on a cruise. You know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can, with your debt, people will be like, I'm in debt. If you have a loan of 500,000 shillings and maybe you are taking a loan for 5 years, if you just put 5,000 extra towards your loan, and we will do also a conversation on debt to show people this, you will pay it off in 3 years. So Sheba, 2 years, 2 years off 2 years, just by
50,000 shillings.
That 50,000 shillings or 170K a day. Yeah, pay it off in 3 years, and because you'll have paid less interest, you'll save 50,000 shillings. So your 5K per month is saving you 50,000 shillings on your loan.
It's worth the sacrifice. And it means that, I like what you're saying, and we'll talk about it. It means that even if you took it for 5 years, that extra amount that you're sacrificing and dedicating to yourself is enabling you to make more. Absolutely. And that is what wealth creation is all about. I always tell people in my classes and even my friends, wealth creation doesn't necessarily mean I have 10 million right now. It is, what can my 5,000 do for me?
What can the 5,000 do for you?
Yeah.
And I just want to bring in the aspect that I've talked about. Investment groups can do big things. 10 people thinking exactly like you. Maybe you're going to find these 10 people on this chat, on this platform today. If you're all doing that, that means you guys are now saving in the millions. You're saving in the hundreds of thousands. You're going after power that is beyond you. So that 5,000 can be compounded. Sheba, I know you have your chama and what it has done for you. Something very close to your heart, and it has happened with the same concept of the power of a little. Please share that story.
And I have to say, it is exactly 5,000 shillings. So I always like sharing this. And for me, chamas, if you make sure you're in a chama that works and make sure that money works for you, it can go a long way. A few years ago, I met a gentleman. So my events company, we were setting up an event somewhere along Langata Road. And as I was sitting there after a really long setup time, a gentleman comes next to me and tells me, hey, what are you selling? I said, I'm not selling anything. So by the end of it all, he had shared with me about a chama he had just started a month ago, a month before. And he was telling me the goal for this chama is to make sure in 5 years, everybody who is in this chama is going to be able to own their own house. Now, there is something we usually say in our chama training, in Centonomy chama training, that your chama should enable you to do things that you cannot do on
yourself.
your own.
Yes.
And right at that time ahead, I was just starting a new business. It was about 2015. And I could not imagine I could be able to own my own house or even own proper property. Because I knew it would happen one day, but at that point I wouldn't. And he said, what we are doing is we are bringing together about 50 people and more, if possible. Everybody will be contributing 5,000 shillings every month for 5 years. And then after 5 years, during those 5 years, we are doing investments. And then after those 5 years, we'll be able to have our own homes. Waceke, would you say no to that?
Of course not.
Especially if you're at a place of, I don't have enough savings.
Yeah.
I don't have much to my name. I am so young. I'm not sure what to do. I say, sign me up. And for the last years, I have been contributing 5,000. And even we opened it up to, if you can be able to add a little bit more, you can contribute as well. And I can comfortably say over the last now 4 years, we have been investing in property. Yani, I actually have my own property in my own name because of 5,000 shillings. Of course, there were times things were hard and I was not able to raise 5,000 bob, and it happens. Like, I remember there's a time I got into so much debt and I told my chama, you guys, in the next couple of months, I don't know how long, I won't be able to contribute, but when I am back, I'll be back. But one thing for sure, all those 5,000, now about 300,000 shillings, just shy about 300,000, I'll be able to have my own house. I have my own land, even more than we expected, because now over those years, we've been able to do more and invest more. So what is your chama doing for you? You can't do everything on your own.
And I'm so glad, Sheba, we're going to have this discussion next week, the power of your chama. Your chama can come through when you're in emergency, and your chama can help you create wealth. I remember when my eyes were also, even in chamas, we also overthink it. Sometimes we also think a lot of money is needed. But when I started Centonomy by having conversations with people. And that's why we've continued and continue to have these conversations. I went and visited a women's chama in Kibera. And they started their chama by 10 shillings a week.
Wow.
So they would put together the 10 shillings and then lend to each other. And it started out with someone needs money for food that day, someone needs money for school fees, for their basic essentials, 10 bob a day. By the time I went to visit them, they had moved it up to 1,000 shillings a week from 10. And this is why they were able to do that, because they now, through that chama, where they were lending each other money at 10% rate for every transaction, they were able to build businesses. And this lady took me to her shop where she showed me where she had started out, but it's a kids' clothes shop. She now took me to her shop where she had even bought the piece of land surrounding the shop because of that. They started, we're talking about 5,000 or 200 bob a day. Listen, guys, there are people who started off with 10 shillings a day. I have seen in my, I've seen in my own life that thing of, let me just put in the stock market or whatever investment. After a while, you sell that. I've also pulled together with people. Then we buy land. Then we came up with a development in Kitengela because of that same pulling effect. So it's just, we've just got to allow ourselves to actually start. And just to answer a couple of questions, there are some people not saying, but how do I organize myself? I want to just share one more thing on screen that those of you who've been following us would probably know it, but because people keep asking, how do I actually share? But you get that a lot. But even how do I reorganize myself? To actually be able to do that. So if you can see the screen now, I'm talking about how to make your shilling stretch. You can all see this. Just confirm this. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So let me share.
Wow, I'm seeing so many interesting comments as you're doing that. And Pauline is a comment saying, 101 helped me reorganize my finances. I stopped doing short-term mobile loans. Me too. Got rid of my credit card. My friend just did that and she's been celebrating. Hi, Leah. I'm building an emergency fund. Wow.
Excellent.
Invested in real estate. She says, Pauline Wahome says, January does not apply to me. Thanks, everyone. And she's currently taking Career Hub. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
God bless you guys. And those who are wondering, all our Centonomy programs are online. So wherever you are, whichever country you are,
Bristol,
Dubai, Australia, Rwanda, Uganda, please go to our website. And those who've been in Nairobi and Kenya and have wanted to access it but couldn't travel or couldn't have the time, please go to our website. All the details of our programs are there, and they are online. They're online. So for those who are saying, how do I organize? For those who've been following us, you've now heard of the Centonomy ABC budget. Yeah. And I just want to quickly just take you through, where do you find that money, or how do you start reorganizing yourself so you can tap into these very powerful things we're talking about, whether it's go on holiday or invest in the stock market or invest in land or join an investment group like Sheba. Sheba, you know, some people want to join your investment group. Yeah.
Oh,
so, in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll share more next week.
We'll share more next week.
Opportunities. Yeah.
So the Centonomy ABC budget, this is how we teach budgeting at Centonomy. A, B, C. A, essentials, food, water, rent. B, important, but if push comes to shove, there's an alternative. Like a car, push comes to shove and you can't afford fuel, you can use public transport. Salon, push comes to shove. You've seen some of us with our natural hair. Yeah, this happened in times of ABC thinking as well. Yeah. Gym, very important, but push comes to shove, you can exercise at home, as we are learning now online, or you can run. Yeah. Loans, push comes to shove, but this depends on your bank. You can negotiate with your bank to rework how you're paying your loan. And then C, there are those other things we just do. We enjoy them, and we're not saying there's anything wrong with them, but sometimes when you're looking for money, that's where you go first. Subscriptions, you know, unlimited movie subscriptions. We are ordering in, we are entertaining ourselves. Yeah. So the thinking is, when you're focusing on A, let's say you have 100K. If ABC is equal to 100K, you only last 1 month with 100K. If A plus B is 50K, you only last 2 months with the 50K. If A plus B plus C, if A is only 30K, you last 3 months. So your money will stretch longest if you spend on less, on the essentials. So whoever is going through a season where they have to reorganize their finances, this is going to be put up on our social media page, this illustration immediately on our social media page. So just follow the ABC and you'll start seeing the gaps. And some of you, that is where you're going to start finding the money to save, the money to invest, the money to start a business, and the money to really, really create wealth for yourself. Yeah.
Rose is asking, if I have 8K, how can I invest it instead of just lying in the account?
I think, Rose, we've even given an example today where we used shares with 5K. Yeah. So Rose, what we're telling you, maybe the full answer will not be here today, but we are going to keep having this chat. I think with investments, what we can't get away from people is taking time to learn. So now it's just starting to talk to who you can talk. But and I just want to say this, even if you don't know where to invest, the thing we do, Rose, is if I have the 8K, since I don't know where to invest, what do we end up doing? Spending it.
Spend it.
What I'd also, just even simple savings account, start. Yeah. Because what also happens is, if I have 8K and it's in a savings account, my mind starts working. I start getting disturbed. Then I add another 8K, now it's 16. I'll be, let me look. How can Centonomy help me?
Discipline. It's like you're building discipline.
You're building. So you may not know the answer today, but just because you don't know how to invest, doesn't mean you can't actually invest. Zippy, I can see Zippy's question, because it's so linked to what Rose is talking. Let me just link them. Yeah. Okay. Zippy is saying you can do fixed deposits account, get monthly interest, and have it recur, which is better than just at the end of the year. At Centonomy, we teach this concept of compounding, or called time value of money. And what Zippy is basically saying, you will earn interest at the end of every month. So by the time you're going to the next month, your money, the interest is already earning. So I could have 10K, I earn interest of 1,000 shillings. So the next month, my money, the interest is not on 10K, it's on 11,000 shillings. The next month, it's on 12,000 shillings. So Zippy, fantastic that even when you're putting fixed deposits with banks, you can actually ask them, how often do you compound? And this is something we teach at Centonomy 101. So please do get in touch. Yeah.
Yeah. I like something Patricia Wamboi Kuria has said, and it's what you were just talking about and advising what's her name? Shiro?
Yes.
No,
yes.
Rose as well.
Rose,
and she says, I have learned that if one has a project, and I think what she's saying, a goal, they are saving for, one becomes disciplined and focused on how they spend their money. For me, I always say, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to pay that school fees? How bad do you want to get out of that credit card loan? How bad do you want to pay those mobile loans? How bad do you want to travel? How bad do you just want an emergency fund so that if COVID ever happens again or something like that, you're sorted? And I want to answer, and to Shiro, you are very right. You can't add on a Makiba right now. What is most important with a Makiba is make sure you always follow the news, because when the government says they want to borrow again, make sure you know that they have opened it, so that you're also not sending when it is time that they don't need the money. So I know bonds is something that we'll talk about again in the future.
We'll talk about. I want to respond to someone who says she's doing Centonomy Entrepreneur, but always needs these basic personal finance reminders to stay on course. You know, the problem with us entrepreneurs, we think too big sometimes. So we think it's only when we have big amounts of money that we can take care of ourselves. And I just want to remind entrepreneurs, especially in this season, and many of us have learned, we need that 5,000 shillings first for ourselves, so that even when we go through seasons like this, there's that 5,000 bob that has been accumulating in an account. So even if your business is going through a challenge right now, cash flow wise, you have money to sustain yourself. But also the same principle applies in our businesses, because what has happened, Sheba, in our businesses, which we've been running over time, we've neglected the small amounts of money. The small amounts of money we sometimes waste on things that are not necessary, like biros and papers and all things. That's the money, even for the business, you can put aside every month to help the business go through challenges like this, where it can still keep people on board. So in the book, I quote like this: remember that a bird builds its nest one twig at a time. Have you ever seen birds carrying a whole nest? No, they go get one twig, they come back. One twig, they come back. One twig. And I just say, when God created birds, he was not making a mistake, because God always created nature to teach us principles. So if a bird can build a nest one twig at a time, who are we? And maybe sometimes the millions or the hundreds of thousands have not come our way because we are being careless with the little. And aren't we told, if you're faithful in little, you will be faithful in much. But if you don't take care of the little, if you can't manage 100 shillings, or you're not aware of the value of 100 shillings, having 100 million shillings will not change your life.
That's why we usually see, if you remember those days for Sport Pesa and those days for betting companies. Those days for betting companies, we used to see some people winning lots of money, and I know we have also had it in our stories in our communities, in the news, people winning a lot of money or getting a lot of money from their families, and all of a sudden in a year it is gone. So it is not so much about how much you have or how big the account is. That 8K, can you just say, going forward, that 8K, I want it to be 16. I want it to be 16 by the end of, in 3 months. And then you start working backwards to say, how do I make it happen? It's possible. It's possible.
It's very possible. And this is the period where we've got to come back to, what do I have? And what can I do? And I think I just want to say, for a lot of us, what we have is sitting right in front of you. And I think even those of us with children, if we don't teach them the value of 200 bob, when you, as Sheba, what you were saying about legacy before, I just thought, if you don't teach your kids the value of 200 bob, when you give them the 2 million, please.
What will they do?
So now even your children, get them to do chores to earn that 200 bob. Let them see that bust building a nest over time, so that they also start to understand. And, of course, if you want help with your kids, Centonomy Teens Bootcamp is also there and also coming online. So please make sure you join us. So even as more questions coming, and maybe we'll have 5 minutes in a bit for a bit of questions, I just want to tell you, every story in the Making Sense book, every story is not about how somebody started with 1 million. There's my story, and I've told you about the 300 shillings. There's there's Douglas, who was living life, not saving, and started by understanding where his money is going. That A, B, C budget I've taken you through, started understanding where his money is taking him through, and then used that to start a watermelon project. And if you've read the book, you will have seen Douglas's story, and there's a whole chapter called How Douglas Made 10 Million Shillings. It started with ABC, where's my money going? I can start a watermelon project, and it will lead to how Douglas made 10 million shillings. Deshaun, who was in university by the time I was writing the book, started with 3,000 shillings. And from the 3,000 shillings, he started making bracelets. From the first time he started making bracelets, from that same 3,000 shillings, it became 15,000 shillings. Yeah. Faith, credit card debt went. Yeah. Again, with her and her husband, figuring out where do we cut money? They ended up tearing up their credit cards, becoming debt-free and wealth creators in different ways and in their own right. So it's really, really about small amounts of money. It's haba na haba kujaza kibaba. So I'd encourage you to get the book. It has a lot of workbooks. It has a lot of things that you can actually use on the screen. And let's just start going through this journey of understanding that it doesn't take a lot. There's somebody who's asking, can they consider international shares as well as local? What we believe at Centonomy with investments, invest in what you understand. Of course, you can consider them, but do you understand them? Are you in a position to watch them? With international shares, what you must keep in mind is that it's about currencies. Yeah, so you're going to have to buy in another currency and trade in another currency. So apart from whether that price goes up and down, you will also have to figure out, will I make or lose money when the currency? So it just takes a lot more work than international shares. And I'd also tell people, even before considering international options, just make sure start at home.
Yeah. We have a vibrant Nairobi Stock Exchange. And I always also say, and how I started teaching myself is, you can imagine the minimum number of shares you can buy in any company is 100.
Yes.
Before you cross over the seas and go and take money to other countries, how about you just start here so that you can start seeing how the market actually performs. The day the prices go down, you enjoy that feeling of loss. The day the prices go up, you also enjoy that feeling of making profit. Then afterwards, as you get used to it and as you're learning, because now also when you start buying shares, you start seeing yourself reading, going to their websites, reading the news, exposing yourself to what is currently going on. So that by the time you're going to foreign exchange and other shares in other countries, you understand how it works.
You understand how it works. And also, do you have a need that some people want to take their kids to college abroad? So sometimes that may also work, because then you can use that kind of investment. So again, it just also goes back to goals. I want to address something someone has said, and it was based on Sheb when people wanted to join your chama. I want a home in 5 years. What I'd like people listening to this is I want you to combine two very powerful things. Something practical that you're doing that we have now taken you through. Save that money every month. Look at the investments you can start doing with that money. But the bigger goals, because sometimes what we can't comprehend is how my small savings add up to, my 5K adds up to the home. So let me tell you how it adds up. Yeah. You combine what you're doing with going out, because sometimes we only want to go and look for that home when we have the money in the bank. You combine that with going out to look for that home. What do you think it's going to do to your mind? What happened when you bought your first car, or when you wanted your first car, or when you saw a car you like?
You start seeing it all over the place.
You start seeing it all over the place. So even with your home, you've already started your 5K per month. So your mind is working. You'll go see a home, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing ways in which you can get the home. It also starts to push us, just that 5K and having a bigger goal, push us to a very important topic, and which we'll talk about. And we actually touched on it last week. How can I earn more? So you'll start with 5K, but if you have a goal like a home, it's going to disturb you to say, how do I make this 5K 10K? How do I make the 10K 20K? How do I make the 20K 100K? And that is the conversation your mind should be having. Just the same way when you saw the car that you like, you saw it everywhere on the road. In fact, in the book, I have quoted that investment opportunities keep coming when you are playing the game and not sitting on the bench. So once you've activated the playing the game, yeah, amazing things will happen.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I feel like challenging Rose Mwangi, the one she said she has 8K in her account. I feel like challenging her. You do something next week, come over and tell us what you've decided.
Yeah.
Next week, go look around and tell us what you've decided. Yeah.
So our community, ladies and gentlemen, from across the globe, have we had the UK, we've had Australia, we've had Nakuru, we've had Uganda. Thank you so much for joining us. Making Sense Conversations happens every Friday at 2 p.m. Remember, you can go on our website and you can find out about all the Centonomy courses that people have been sharing about and how they've changed their life. Centonomy is now online, and for this period, we are running our courses at a discount so that more people can be financially empowered, especially in this season, and we want to work with you. Making Sense has everything we've been talking about. The book Making Sense has everything we've been talking about. This book is not a theoretical book. It's about conversations with people, and it's about stories, people like myself, Faith, Douglas, Deshaun, who started with these principles. So the details on the screen of how to get the book are there. You can order, you can call right now, and a book can be delivered to you. Online, you can buy it at Amazon. For those who are out of the country, Amazon, it's on Kindle, so you can buy it. Locally, you can still order it online at Amazon or Rafu Books. And these are the bookshops: Yaya Center, Africa Book Hub, Prestige. So we hope you will buy the book so that we can continue having conversations on the principles that are in the book. So Sheba, thank you so much for being with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and everybody, thank you so much and have a brilliant weekend and stay safe, and we will see you next Friday. Tell your friends to come on board. Tell your family. See you then.
Just saying goodbye and have a good one. For those who are asking Kinamweni, please check out our website. The next class for 101 starts on 2nd June.